ኣብ ቤተ ክርስቲያን ጸሪሕ ንገዛይ ይምለስ ነይረ ካብ ሰዓት 1 ይዝኸውን ገና ኣይመሰየን ዝኾነ ይኹን ሰብ
I was at church. I was walking back home. It was around 7 p.m. It wasn't dark yet. There were still people out. I was just 10 minutes away from home when 5 Eritrean soldiers caught up with me. One of them told me to stop and asked where I was coming from. He told me I wasn't allowed to move at that hour due to the curfew. I told him he was right, but that I was at a prayer ceremony that took longer than expected. I had nothing on me except my natsala and cell phone. He told me to wait and called the others.
For 3 consecutive days, Burhan, a resident of Shiranda Salasa and a single mother of 2 children, would be held without food or drinking water.
ድሕሪ 5 ደቂቓ ፓትሮል ናይ ወታደራዊ መኪና እያ ናብ ቅድመይ መጽያ ጠጠው ኢላ
5 minutes later, a military vehicle came to take me to a military camp where many soldiers were stationed. I was so afraid. I thought they were going to kill me. They had done that to many others like me. They didn't give me any food or water in the 3 days they kept me there. I thought to myself why they were so stingy that they couldn't spare one bullet to kill me. It's difficult to describe really. They wouldn't even let me out to use the bathroom, so I had to use the small room to urinate so it smelled terrible. And sometimes I would become hungry to a point that I would lose consciousness.
ሓንቲ ጥይት ደምሲኢኖም ሙለይ ክሳዕ ዝብል ኮይነና ከቢድ ነይሩ ናወት ዛራው ብጣዕሚ ይከቢድ ዘግናኒ
After 3 days of imprisonment and the denial of food and water, one night, the soldiers would drag Burhan out of her cell and start accusing her of supporting the Tigray People's Liberation Front. Burhan explained again that she had been walking home from church the day they found her, and that she was not part of any political movement, but the soldiers she explained to would not listen.
ኣብ ሳልሳይ መዓልቲ ምሸት ሰዓት ከባቢ 2 ዝኸውን ጽዋዕያ ታውሽጥ ዘላ ሁሉ ሰሚዐዮ
On the 3rd day, at around 8 p.m., I heard one of the soldiers say, "Call that woman." I could see them only because they had brought torches with them. They took me to the wilderness and accused me of being a supporter of the TPLF and said that was why I was walking on the streets past the curfew. They took me to the wilderness in the dark and told me to lie down. At first, I didn't understand what he meant. Then he said it again and then just kicked me to the ground and I fell on my right side of my face. Each of them took turns raping me. There was 5 of them. I lost consciousness because I was so hungry. Everything was beyond what I could bear. I was thirsty. I simply didn't have the energy to scream.
But the struggle for women and girls like Burhan does not end here. Many survivors of sexual violence in Tigray have found it almost impossible to access healthcare and are carrying on with the psychological and physical wounds of their attack.
There was an odorous fluid coming out of my uterus. I had hypotension and I was constantly falling. I bled heavily for 9 months, non-stop. I didn't go to a health facility because they had all been looted. They had nothing left. Why would I go there? There was no healthcare service. If I had went, they would have asked me why I came and killed me if I had dared to tell the truth. I came here to Maqala after a year, hoping to get treatment.
Burhan had high hopes for the future before the start of the war. She says she was a single mother, but she had the means to care for her 2 children with her income from her teaching job. Burhan was a loving and caring mother, but had to leave her children behind to receive medical treatment here in Maqala.
I felt so depressed. I didn't know what to tell my daughters about where I was going. So I didn't say anything. They don't know where I am. I haven't seen them for a year. What can I take with me? I'm so afraid of going back. I have no means of sustaining myself. There are no salaries anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Tens of thousands of women and girls across Tigray have been subjected to the same type of violence that Burhan had faced, but their suffering has been prolonged and exasperated by the ongoing siege.
ኣብ ጽሜትን ኣብ ጽምን ኣብ ሕማምን ስለዘለና ብጽሑልና ክብል ይደሊ ህይወትና ትርፉና ህይወትና ድሕኑና ክብል ይደሊ በዘጋጣሚ እዚ
We are hungry, thirsty and sick. Someone needs to intervene to save our lives. Help us. We are separated from our families. I can't see my children. They are all I have. I have been separated from my children. I'm alive and want to see them, but can't.